How high can Tron go in 2025? It's been on a bit of a tear recently, and it has had some pretty exponential growth in 2021. And we are going to be addressing my 2025 price prediction for Tron in today's video. How high can we actually see the Tron token go? As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. And let's take a look at what's going on with Tron. So here we have Tron paired up with USDT. This is our 1 week Binance chart. We're using this chart because obviously it shows a lot of what happened historically, and we're going to be addressing whether or not history is going to be repeating itself. In the crypto space, we tend to find that history does like to repeat itself until it doesn't. What we mean by that is that unless something dramatically changes, history does indeed tend to repeat. So we can see here quite a few different things. For us to be able to predict out how high we think Tron can go in 2025, we first of all need to figure out what happened previously, what's happened in the bear market, and whether or not history is likely to repeat itself. For this, we're going to use a couple of different tools. We're going to use Elliott Wave, which basically is sentiment behind the price action, so you can see how the behaviors of the buyers and the sellers change over time. And we're going to be using Fibonacci retracement tools and extensions, which basically allow us to predict out how high or how low things are likely to go based on the sentiment, based on the behaviors of the buyers and the sellers. Okay, so these are the two tools that we're going to be using. If you're interested in learning more about these, do join us in our free Discord server linked in the description down below. Okay, so the first thing we need to do here, in order for us to predict out the next bull market high, we need to first of all figure out what happened in the previous bull market, which is 2020 to 2021. Okay, now in this move for Tron, we can see that there was a pretty decent run. It was 2,531%. Now, don't get me wrong, there are altcoins out there that did phenomenally better. For example, we can take a look at Cardano, which did really well, around 17,000%. We could take a look at things like Polygon, which did 43,000%. Okay, so there are lots of potential still here for Tron, but obviously it's not as good as or as lucrative as some others. It's about understanding whether or not you're looking for something that's been tried and tested and it's been around for a while, that continues to develop and is lasting the test, or lasting the test of time to a degree, or whether you want something brand new, shiny, that's going to get you more percentage points. Ultimately, Tron did reasonably well, in that last bullish market, right in line with that of Bitcoin, for example. Okay, now in the bear market, we can see that we did drop down to the lows of November 2022. This was a 74.86% drop. So it actually held up very, very well. You can see here that it found support on the 200-week moving average, or the exponential moving average there, the white line coming through the chart. Now, the move that we saw here was quite interesting. So if we use the Fibonacci tool here to kind of measure this distance, you can see that it comes right up into a typical three-wave fashion, an A, B, C structure, which was actually going to be targeting out this range right here between 1676 and 2672. And you can see here on the 12th of April 2021, we hit that high, coming in at 18-cent flat. That was our bull market peak, and it comes right in line with those expectations. Okay, so for Tron right now, as we can kind of see, a great three-wave move to the upside. This move to the upside is corrective in the way that it is. An A, B, and C structure is corrective, not a trend. And we can also see another three-wave pattern to the downside in the bear market. Okay, and if we go ahead and measure this, we can see here that actually this is truncated. And when you say truncated, well, essentially what we mean is it fell short of what it would normally typically, and what you would normally be expecting to see. Okay, so you would normally have expected Tron to come down towards 3.3 cent to the 2.42 cent, this area here. But you can see that did not happen, and we actually failed to close lower than the 0.618 fib level. Okay, again, a key area of previous support was found here. Okay, so it does to me look like Tron has a habit of standing up quite well and holding its ground. As you can kind of see, FTX crash is what ultimately just pushed it down lower than this support level here, which was between the 4.64 to 5.59. Now, why am I talking about all this if I'm talking about 2025 price predictions? Well, it's very important for us to understand where we went, where we came from, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark this up here so you guys can see what that looks like. Okay, very important that we understand what happens next after this. Now, we have three waves going up and three waves coming down. Yes, it didn't go down as low as it could have done. It actually found great support in this low range at a 74% drop, right? So how high is this thing likely to go? Well, as you can kind of see, we are teetering with the idea of going up into a new all-time high. Okay, if I pull this across, you can see this is the previous area of rejection for Tron, okay? So this previous area of rejection, actually, I'm going to snap that slightly lower onto where we actually had no close positions here on the weekly. So this is coming in at the 14.3 to 18 cent levels. And you can see right now we've gone right back up into this previous area. The good news is that we're actually closing weekly positions inside this previous range from 2021, which did not have any close positions. So we are kind of teething with the idea that actually Tron's getting some momentum that's going to potentially break up into new all-time highs, maybe a little bit ahead of 2025. But the big elephant in the room is, can it repeat itself? Can history go ahead and actually perform very well? And well, for that, we're going to look at our bear market low point over here, which happened on the 14th of week commencing 14th of November. Okay, that low point just over here, which is a low of 4.53. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put the fib scale here down on that level. The importance of that is we look for the similarities of history repeating itself and kind of give you price predictions based on that. Okay, so here we can see if we are to follow the idea that we are in multiple years looking at a three-wave pattern, maybe 5 waves, but we'll just go with the premise that it's a three-wave pattern. We will be looking for something that would look like a WXY. W, X, and Y pattern like this. Okay, and internally you have your ABC structure here. You have your three-wave pattern going down here, another ABC structure, and then we have a three-wave pattern coming up here. Okay, now typically we'll be looking for this to mirror what happened previously, as in the Y wave mirrored the W wave. Okay, no guarantees, of course, but that's kind of what you would be hoping for under best case scenarios, right? Now, that means that we can be applying this kind of logic that maybe we are going to be looking for Tron's price action to be up into this range between $1.17.86 to $2.54.7. Okay, and this would be under the idea that we are in some kind of larger WXY pattern like so. Okay, so at the moment, as you can kind of see, we are dancing around these higher ranges of the previous bull market. Some of the interesting ranges where we want to be thinking more conservatively, because obviously these are nice to have the $1.17 to $2.54 targets. There are a couple of areas that we had seen historically also be key areas of resistance. Okay, and this is sentiment, where sentiment is going to shift, and it's going to happen at key Fibonacci levels. Okay, so these are the ranges that we want to be really focused on to see what happens in terms of price action. Rejection from these could be very bearish place for Tron. So we're looking at 33.97 to 58.71. This area between the 0.618 to the 0.786. This is going to be the conservative targets. So we have our actual kind of bull market high targets, where best case scenario we see $1.17. Well, best case I guess is actually $2.54, but kind of you'd still expect 117. Or we have the more conservative targets, which sit basically in here between the 618 and the 786, 33.97 to 58.71. So with all that knowledge there, and knowing that the structures and the sentiment of all the behaviors that's gone into this so far, we want to be thinking, okay, what is the potential? If I were to buy Tron today at the point of recording today's video, we're going to be looking for 114% to about 265% on the conservative side. And if we want to go for the slightly higher targets, we're talking about 640% up towards that kind of maybe 1500%. Okay, not the most lucrative, but again, we are slightly late to the game if you're buying into these altcoins at these points. Still can be done, of course, because we can still see some pretty lucrative returns. If we take into consideration the low of November and what we're accumulating down there, the conservative targets are going to be more around the 650 to about 1200%, and the kind of one-to-one would be 2500, obviously mirroring what happened previously, upwards towards 5,500%. So there's some possible scenarios here where Tron does well. Obviously, it's starting to get a little bit of the action of the meme coins going on over there as well. So there's some potential demand coming in that's helping to kind of keep this price buoyant. So we can see that there's the potential here for this to rally up quite a bit. But again, I wouldn't be necessarily holding my breath too much. I think the conservative range is really where I would be aiming, unless there's a good reason not to be more bullish. And so for that, I would be looking for closed positions inside this range between 33. Also, I just say closed positions above 33.97 because that's where we then start to see things being a little bit more on the bullish side for Tron. But guys, there you have it. Those are my kind of price predictions for Tron in the coming 2025 bull market. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server. I'd like to get everyone's thoughts and opinions on this one. And guys, if you haven't done so already, check out this video right here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.